I'm Moneyman Lalo. This is On Paper Sports. Today we are talking about the fights coming up Saturday, May 2nd, both here in the States and in Japan. Two massive cards with a lot of titles on the line in the Vegas card and a lot of titles on the line in the Japan card. We are less than 10 days from a Cinco de Mayo weekend where we won't see Canelo fight. But what we will see is David Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez May 2nd in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now, this is an event put on by PBC, so it will be on Amazon Prime. I believe it's still pay-per-view, so it's probably going to be like $80, maybe 90. The undercard is stacked with big fights. It's three. I don't know if Lucero's fight is still with another Mexican. I believe he's Argentinian. But Isaac Lucero, to open up the main card, is putting his undefeated record on the line. And then you have Oscar Duarte versus Tashiri Fierro, who fought Pitbull Cruz once and then missed weight the second time. Now, the fight that I think is going to be the most exciting on this Benavidez versus Zurdo undercard is the fight between Armando Resendiz and Jaime Munguia for the WBA title at super middleweight, so 168 pounds. Since Crawford beat Canelo, he retired and basically vacated all the titles. Right now, according to ESPN, WBC is held by Christian Mbili. The IBF and the WBO are vacant, and then the WBA is held by Resendiz. And Munguia could be a champion after Saturday night, May 2nd. But only time will tell. I'm honestly rooting for Resendiz to win this title versus or to retain and defend his title versus Munguia, the challenger. Just because I didn't like what I saw out of Munguia his last fight with what was his name? It was the dude who knocked him out in Tijuana, and then they had the rematch in Saudi Arabia. And then there was a scandal around Munguia's name because they had popped him for steroids supposedly, and then the B sample came out clean. But anyways, his performance wasn't the best versus that other guy in Saudi Arabia. And we've seen Munguia get knocked out by the French guy. I forgot his name, man. I can't remember his name. And then before that, it was the loss to Canelo. I think he gave him too much respect that fight. I do think he would have gotten dropped if he would have came in a little offensive or more offensively heavy. But Munguia's given good fights in his past fights. He's a pressure fighter. He's always been a pressure fighter. If you complicate the fight enough and you start to outbox him, he'll resort back to his brawling, which Resendiz likes to brawl. That's what he was doing. He was pressure fighting versus Caleb Plant, which is the last time we've seen Resendiz. So I'm excited for both of these guys' return. One, because we haven't seen Resendiz if he didn't fight this month or in May, it would have been a year on the 30th. And then we haven't seen Munguia for, I believe it was over a year, because his last fight was in September. No, yeah, it was. His last fight was a while back. And I'm also excited for the return of Duarte after the fight with Hitchens fell through in February on the Garcia versus Barrios undercard. I was actually at that fight, and I was really excited to see that fight. That was probably the best fight on that card. Duarte and Hitchens, and then Hitchens pulls out last minute the day of on Saturday morning. Because it was for the IBF title, and they do have two weigh-ins because you can't rehydrate. I believe it's more than 7 pounds. And with the IBF, they make you weigh in 2 times, so you can't go over, I believe it's 7 pounds of water rehydration. So if the fight's at 140, you can't weigh more than 147 on that fight day morning, which is where Hitchens pulled out of that fight in the morning with Duarte. So I'm excited to see him come back, and he's fighting a Mexican pressure fighter in Tashiri Fierro, who also missed weight. So honestly, I'm kind of scared on that one. Whoever the matchmaker was, I don't know what they were thinking. They should have picked another reliable fighter, in my opinion. There's more at 140 pounds. But this should be a good fight. Even Pitbull Cruz himself would have been a good fight for this one. His last fight was in December. I don't know if he has a rematch set up with Lamont Roach yet. But Lamont Roach could have been another fighter. But if they wanted a Mexican, they could have went with Pitbull, who has a title, or an interim title, I believe. He has a WBC at 140 pounds. And then you get to the main event between Benavidez and Zurdo. Benavidez is moving up in weight. I know he looks pretty heavy at 175. He looks soft. But At 200 pounds, no one's seen him fight at that weight yet. There's training videos, he looks good, but I don't know how that weight will translate. If because he's a pressure volume puncher. He doesn't hit real hard, but his volume is what makes him a good fighter. I don't know if you guys have seen Navarrete, but Navarrete doesn't hit too hard either, and he still fucked up Oscar Valdez's face just because of the consistency of punches. So we'll see how that weight translates. We've seen him get wobbled by David Morrell with I believe it was with the left hook, when he fought Morrell a year ago or two in February, and that was at 175 pounds. So we'll see what Zurdo can do. Zurdo doesn't have knockout power either, like to the chin. For him, it's the same thing. It's volume. And for Zurdo, I would honestly just say it's mainly volume. The speed is not really there when you compare it to Benavidez. The body shots, Zurdo hits fucking hard to the body. Benavidez needs to watch out for those liver shots. He might get dropped with one of those. If Zurdo can catch him to the chin, we'll see how Benavidez takes it, because like I said, he is going up in weight. So usually when a fighter goes up in weight, his punch resistance is higher. They can take more damage than they could at a lower weight class. And then after this fight, if Benavidez wins, what does he do next? Does he move back down to 175? Does he go for any other champion at 100 or 200, my bad, pounds, which would be the cruiserweight? Or does he move up to heavyweight? I think by Benavidez winning this fight, it opens up a bunch of windows opens up a bunch of doors for him to potentially fight big names in heavier weights, like your Jay Opetayas, who signed with Zuffa. So then Benavidez would have to sign with Zuffa as well if he wants Opetaya, or Zuffa would have to give Opetaya a one fight one fight out of network deal to fight Benavidez, either on PBC or DAZN, or maybe the Saudis, Turki Al-Sheikh, will pay for it. And there's two titles that Benavidez is fighting for. It's the WBO and the WBA at cruiserweight, which Zurdo holds. I think Benavidez moved up too early. I don't know if Zurdo is the best fight to make for him right now. I mean, it could be, considering that Bivol and Beterbiev aren't really available to fight. Bivol is scheduled for May, I think, at the Pyramids or something. He's scheduled for a fight, but I think Benavidez versus Bivol would have been the better fight to make at 175. Beterbiev versus Bivol 3 even. Benavidez versus Beterbiev. Anything with staying at 175 pounds, I think would have been a better decision than Zurdo versus Benavidez. But I can't complain that he's stepping up and fighting actual champions. Like, he's doing the same thing that Prime Canelo was doing. So, I mean, not to compare both of them, because as of right now, the legacies don't compare. But he's getting there. He's getting there. He's got the fame. He's got the names. He's getting the titles. He's got the weight classes, the experience, the resume. He's getting there. And he's stealing Canelo's weekend. I mean, what more could you ask for than May 2nd, when people are doing barbecues, they're outside, families together, they're buying pay-per-views. The stadium's going to be filled, I guarantee it. This is the point of the old traditions fading and the new ones coming in. But this has been going on in the sport for a really long time. Mayweather was the guy who would fight in May and September. And then Canelo came along and he took those dates. He became the face of boxing, the superstar. And now you're seeing another transition period of who will be the face of boxing. Many people thought it was going to be Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson. I personally would have preferred if it was the Charlo brothers, but I know that it's 2026 and we're not back in 2016, 2018 in their prime when they were going on those crazy runs and collecting titles. But to be the face of boxing, you kind of need a swag and an attitude up on stage, which I don't know if Benavidez has that. For this fight, I haven't seen too much promotion between both of them talking, like in the press conference. To give you an example, the Canelo Plant fight that happened, I believe it was in May as well. They went on a presser in LA, and I think they did New York as well, but they went on a press tour And it was at one of those pressers where we got the iconic scene of Plant trying to slap Canelo, and then Canelo weaving back and landing his own shot. But things like that don't happen anymore. The drama build up. Now we just get two names, and you got to wait for the date. The pressure, the build up, the hype, it's got to come back, man. PBC were the guys to do this. And that's how you build a superstar. You build them up with hype, with drama, surround the name with excitement, with anticipation, and you make people want to see the fight. Right now, I don't think too many Mexican boxing fans even know that Zurdo and Ramirez are fighting. Zurdo and Benavidez are fighting. I'm sure by the end of this week, people will know. They'll start promoting harder, and the press releases and stuff, the press conferences, the weigh-ins, the media workouts, all those things will start to come out. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe times have changed, but that's the boxing that I'm used to. The events that PBC would put on, DAZN even put on some great pressers with Golovkin versus Canelo, but that was back in what, 2018, 2020? That was quite a bit ago. Anyways, back to the fight. Benavidez is putting his undefeated record on the line for 2 titles versus Zurdo, who has lost to Bivol. I believe that's his only loss. And then you got that stacked PBC card full of Mexican fighters. If you consider Benavidez to be a Mexican fighter, you have, like I said, I don't know if Lucero, I could just probably look it up. Lucero is fighting another Mexican. I believe he's fighting an Argentinian. Something happened with Lucero's opponent. So if Lucero's opponent didn't pull out, it would have been 8 Mexican fighters headlining the Benavidez Zurdo card. But Benavidez would have been the only one that was born in the United States. Zurdo was born in Mexico, Resendiz Munguia as well, Lucero and Duarte as well. Fierro was born in Mexico as well. But they swapped out Lucero's opponent, and it's now going to be Ismael Flores, who was born in Argentina, but according to BoxRec, he lives in Spain, in Barcelona. And on BoxRec, he's only had fights in Spain. His record is 17-1 with 12 knockouts, 1 draw. So we'll see what's up. What happens May 2nd? The Argentinians got heart. Can't take that away from them either. It's like another Mexican fighter, really. Interesting that they decided to go with an Argentinian for Lucero and not just cancel the fight. I'm glad they didn't just cancel the fight. I seen Lucero in May on that on that Plant versus Resendiz undercard as well. So between these 4 fights, May 2nd, here in the States, in Vegas, you got 4 fights which are supposed to be between brawlers. So there's supposed to be nonstop action, just punching and slugging it out. But then in the morning, that same Saturday, in the morning, West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time, here in the States at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you have Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nakatani in Japan, fighting for the title of the best Japanese fighter, I guess, for bragging rights. They are fighting for titles, though. Are fighting at 122 pounds for Inoue's undisputed status. So the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO titles are on the line Saturday, May 2nd in Japan. Junto Nakatani versus Naoya Inoue. I think this is a fight that's being set up as the best versus the best, but I don't know if, like, okay, don't get me wrong, Inoue is good and Nakatani is good as well, but Inoue is better than Nakatani. I do have to consider that Inoue might be burnt out from. This could be a possibility, but Inoue could be burnt out from all these fights that he does. I believe he fought 3 times last year, maybe 4. I think 3. He ran circles around MJ, Picasso. That was a 12-0 shutout. Ramon Cardenas was the last person I seen to give Inoue trouble. And that was in Vegas in May of 2024, I believe, maybe 2025. But I don't see Nakatani giving Inoue any trouble, not right now at least. So that's who I'm picking to win the fight. Let me know what you guys think, though. I mean, a lot of people really do think Nakatani is going to win, and I'm not disagreeing with them. I do think he has a chance to win. but I think Inoue is the better fighter going into this one. They're fighting at the Tokyo Dome, and it's a sold out 55,000 seat arena that I wish I could be at, but I can't. So the next best thing, in my opinion, is Zurdo versus Benavidez. I would rather be at Inoue versus Nakatani, but this one's closer. Zurdo versus Ramirez is closer to me. But let me know who you guys are picking on any of these fights. Zurdo, I think, has a chance of winning, like a 30% chance. Nah, I'd probably give him a 40% chance of winning. He would have to be stronger. He would have to be tougher than Benavidez, and Benavidez could get gassed because of the new weight added on top of him. That would be the thing that gets him, is the weight drains his energy faster than before. So in the later rounds, Zurdo could get the if it's a close fight, Zurdo's going to win. If they get into the later rounds and it's a close fight, I don't think Benavidez has the gas tank to go all 12 nonstop like he does at 175 at 200 pounds. Maybe I'm wrong, and he really does have the gas tank. He might even have the gas tank to do it at heavyweight. Who knows? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Are you guys going to stay up and watch that fight if you live here in the States? If you're in the East Coast, like New York, Philadelphia, Florida, all those areas over there, I believe you guys get the fight at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Is it a potential fight for the ages? Who knows? All I know is I got my Inoue versus Nakatani shirt on the way, straight from Japan. Hopefully it gets here before the fight happens.